Hello friends. Today's video is going to be part 2 of reacting to the manga assumptions that were submitted over on my main channel. If you didn't see part 1 primarily covered the assumptions having to do with all the art looks the same, all the art is the same, all the characters are the same, the stories are all the same, the idea that it is all the same, as you've gathered. And so my husband and I go into detail about that, and we're going to be focusing in on slightly different topics for today. If you're interested in seeing part 1 though, I'll have that linked.
This pairs interestingly with probably the most commented thing. So I know I'm being cryptic right now because I don't want to say what that is yet. But you'll figure it out probably. So these two, one of them says they always seem like they're for really young kids. And the other one says, I've tried to pick up various titles several times and always feel like I'm reading a children's television program, no matter how dark the content may be. Also, I never get that same connection with characters in manga that I get from a book. So that second part, not really what I was looking for, but basically that it's for kids. That is the assumption here.
Some of it is.
That's true.
If you're picking up a shonen.
Some of it is.
If you're picking up a shonen, shonen is kind of like the equivalent of, well, there's, what's the other one called? There's shoujo, right?
Yeah.
Shonen, shoujo.
Uh-huh.
And that essentially means, to put it in American or Western terminology, it's almost like young adult girl, young adult boy. They kind of distinguish between the two. And those are geared toward a younger audience, and then you get the ones that are meant for an older audience. And so if you're saying you've literally picked up Vinland Saga starts a little, I actually don't love the very, very opening of Vinland Saga because I think it's a little corny and I don't think it speaks to how much depth that series has. But if you're reading that and you know what, a better example, because it's so haunting and strange, is I think Girl from the Other Side. I don't know how you pick that up and think this is for children.
And that's another one with really unique art. Like that art's very interesting. Yeah.
Kind of hard to sometimes distinguish what's even there. The ones that are really popular, a lot of the ones that do reach mass appeal, they are the ones that are usually shonen. Demon Slayer, One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, Dragon Ball, like all those ones that you've probably seen and heard of, those are for a younger audience. Now, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy it as an adult, of course. Just like any Marvel movie, a lot of them are geared toward a younger audience, but plenty of adults absolutely love them. So just because something is geared toward a younger audience, it's not like those are the only people that can like it, and that's who it's for. And if you pick it up, somehow that's wrong. But there are ones that are for adults. They're just not as popular. They just don't hit that mass appeal the same way the Marvel movies hit the mass appeal, but then something like Logan, which is one of our favorites, that doesn't hit the same level of success because you are basically saying there is adult content here, and that already is going to exclude a ton of people. And when you exclude a ton of people, it doesn't have usually as much potential, obviously speaking generally, because other ones do hit a lot of success. Just depends on the person. But also, I just want to say, for the people that are like, I feel like it's just for kids, I've tried it, I don't really like it. Hunter x Hunter, I also didn't really find I could ever connect deeply to the characters. Same with Demon Slayer. A lot of those shonen manga, I don't find myself gravitating toward. Sailor Moon, I pretty much love because of the nostalgia of it and because I think it's funny. But I don't feel that deep connection with them. I think the only shonen that I really, really feel connected to is Fullmetal. I think that's the only one that really has hit for me. So I think that's fair if you're not feeling connected to it. And life's short. You only have so much time. If you know for a fact that you enjoy a certain kind of book or a certain genre or a certain medium, and that's the thing that you want to put your time into, then go for it. You don't have to pick up other stuff. But there is content out there that you would like. I just think maybe you haven't found it in manga yet.
Sure. I have two more kind of niche ones before we get into the ones that are, there's a lot. Okay.
Oh, wow. I thought we already were touching on the ones that there were.
Oh, no,
okay.
no.
Oh, okay.
So
am I going to be really upset by the end of this?
You're fine. Okay, so two more niche ones. Here we go. Fight scenes are extremely over the top. big fights that are actually not that amazing or entertaining. And then there's another person who said something similar, basically hyped up villains that end up, like they're unbeatable villains who end up getting beaten, really quickly, like kind of overhyped.
Easily. Yeah.
So kind of along this fighting thing. I feel like these are all so far a lot of shonen fighting manga stereotypes. I mean, you're not wrong in that, like Dragon Ball, especially like the anime, when you have people like staring at each other charging their powers for like several episodes, you're like, can you get on with it? One Piece has some pretty long fights where you're just like, they're still fighting, that sort of thing. So I get it. But I mean, if that's not your cup of tea, again, it's just the same thing. There's other manga that is not at all like that. Another one we haven't really mentioned yet, but Monster, if you like crime, thriller, murder mystery, serial killer stuff, Monster's really good. And it's not anything like Dragon Ball or any of that stuff. It's very realistic. Anyway, so that's my shout out for Monster.
I really do think a lot of the issues or not really issues, but assumptions that people have are exactly what Sean said, that it's based off of the shonen manga, and specifically the shonen fighting manga. And I think that it makes sense that might not be for you, but I think that, to give my own example, when we were watching Demon Slayer, they pull the typical somebody uses one move, and you're like, oh, here we go, we're about to get an exciting fight. And then the main character's like, how are they so powerful, so strong? I've never seen such strength before. And you're like, dude, can you fight? It's just them constantly thinking about how strong and fast and powerful the other enemy is. And I agree that sometimes I think that's what people are saying when you get this villain that's super hyped up, but then the way in which they figure out how to defeat them is like, they'll notice that they lean a little bit on their left leg, and that's where their weakness is, and then they do one move and they've cut them down and they've succeeded. Or they like extend a compassionate hand, and then the villain realizes, what am I doing? Why have I been fighting this whole time? And then everybody's happy and forgives each other and we move on. And yeah, that's not my kind of manga either. That's not my kind of anime either. I don't mind if it's on. I'll watch it.
And I'm not trying to pick on One Piece. The only reason I keep bringing it up is I never read Naruto or Bleach, kind of the other big fighting manga of that era. I mean, I guess One Piece is still going, but One Piece, like, you really will have, this main character is facing off against this bad guy. This main character is facing off against this bad guy. Like, they're all paired up. And you kind of go between each fight, and then you're like, oh, geez, okay, they're still fighting, because you have to, like, work your way around the group. So I get it. Okay, this one's the most interesting niche one. This is the last niche one. And it's interesting because two people brought it up, and I've never really thought about it. And I word it kind of similarly. Okay. You're considered the old grizzled veteran if you're over 14 years old. And this is a part of a longer comment, so we'll get into it. But he says, or whoever, if you're 30 plus, you're an artifact of the old world order and on death's door. How does one even scrape themselves off the floor and creak upright to greet the sun each day if they exceed an advanced age of 29? Which, well done in just like the descriptive nature of that comment. I really liked that. But characters' ages, I mean, I don't want to, you'll probably say the same thing, but again, like, it's maybe the fighting manga thing where they're all teenagers.
I'll say we haven't watched My Hero Academia, which is it? That one. That one's kind of a school setting, I'm pretty sure. We're planning to watch Attack on Titan soon, so I'm wondering if some of this is rooted in that, where, the person who's just a couple years older is so much taller and so much more adult, and maybe it's something like that. Because I think if anything, there tends to be a character that's just infinite in their age. They're so old and they're the old wise one that does all the interesting magic, and then suddenly they can do all these cool flips, and they're a little bit gross. Like, they'll say some kind of comment about some young female character or something. Like, there's that type I've seen when we're talking about age, but I also think there's the really tiny child character that just blows everyone away, because how are they so capable of this? And often you get the look in their eyes. Their eyes are so much older, and so I've seen that, but I don't think I've ever seen. Go ahead.
I feel like we're just keep going back to Fullmetal Alchemist. Fullmetal Alchemist, aside from the two main characters, I feel like there's a lot of people varied ages in Fullmetal Alchemist. So, but I liked that comment though. That was an interesting observation.
That's it for part 2 of the manga assumptions. Like I said at the beginning, I'll have part 1 linked, and then we will be doing a part 3, so if you are enjoying this, be on the lookout for that. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.